in your mind and in life, there are times when you feel like you have a call or a push or an inkling to try something and do something. How can a person discover their true passion in life?
I think we both have quite different experiences, like different industries.
Going back to your primal instincts. Welcome to this segment of The Gathering. In this conversation, we're going to be discussing how do you know you found your purpose, how do you figure that out, and then how do you make sure that you stay in it. So Jennifer, thanks for joining me on this first episode.
Thank you for having me.
So before we get started, I just think it might be helpful to do a couple of introductions on ourselves. So I'm Abiola, I do a lot of different things, but in this context, I share my experiences on spiritual growth and personal growth, which is why we're here today. What about you, Jennifer? Tell us a bit about you.
My name's Jennifer. I've been best friends with Abiola for many years now, and my background is in fashion media. I now work freelance, and I have my own blog called stylishtsubstance.com, which is focusing on different things from women empowerment, fashion, travel, and I'm happy to be here talking with you today.
Great. So, how does this actually work? Well, a few months ago, I got people in my inner circle and on my website, on social media, to submit different questions about life, spirituality, personal growth, anything really, and we would answer them in a pretty relaxed environment. I think it's fair to say that this is not us saying that we have all the answers. It's really supposed to be a conversation, which is why all the questions have been submitted by people like you.
I think we both have quite different experiences, like different industries, but I think we've also had similar trajectories in some ways as well, so I think it should be an interesting conversation.
So, how can a person discover their true passion in life? That's my first question. I don't know if you had any thoughts.
I think, to be honest, I'm still discovering it, but I think even in the last month, what I've realised, I've been reading this really good book actually, a book called Women Who Run With the Wolves.
Yeah. I have that.
Do you have it?
Yeah, and my friend Priscilla got it for me.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Yeah. It's pretty long and it's quite dense, but it's really worth reading. And I think what's interesting is that it was actually written like 25 years ago, but some of the, all the lessons are so relevant still. And I think it's interesting because you can see how some things for women have changed, but then there's still so much similarity to how the world was 25 years ago. But I think that has really spoken to me in regards to kind of going back to what my passions are, because it basically talks about going back to your primal kind of creative self, and how as women a lot of the time, for various reasons, from family obligations, and people are mothers, but I think even for us as daughters and sisters and stuff like that, and just how the world can kind of stifle your creativity, but living from that. So I think for me that's been good therapy in a way, going back to your creative self. And I think for me, our friend Shayon, she has the 3D framework, which is earning, dreaming, and sharing. And I think for some people, their earning and their dreaming categories kind of are very separate. But I think what I've realised for me personally is that I think mine need to be more coincided for me to be living my best life. But what do you think?
So in terms of kind of how someone can discover their true passion in life, I think it's very similar to what you said about going back to your primal instincts. But what does that really mean? As opposed to people who might be thinking, okay, going back to my primal instincts, how do I do that? I simply think it's in your mind and in life, there are times when you feel like you have a call or a push or an inkling to try something and do something. And it's quite small and there's not necessarily any guarantees. And I think how you discover your passion or your purpose or whatever those words are, I don't really subscribe to any particular word, but it's just answering this might be a good idea, or I've always wanted to try something, or this is what I'm really passionate about, and just doing it. It doesn't mean that it immediately becomes your job or it immediately becomes something that you're amazing at and world class at. But I think even being able to answer that call or that feeling is the first step, and when you take that step, the road kind of unravels in front of you. And I think that's been the case with everything that I'm doing with my website and all these other projects. Is literally, what year is it now? 2018. So I think 3 years ago or so, literally all that I had was a feeling that, I feel like I've learned so much. I've always been Christian, but it's literally meant nothing to me. Maybe I should just share these new things that actually mean something. And by doing that, just, literally writing one post and sending it to a WhatsApp group, it's grown and grown and grown. And there's so many more things that I'd love to do and try in life because of that. And all it was literally was thinking, my life isn't just my job and then going home. It's also answering this feeling of, wouldn't it be nice if, or there's an opportunity to do this. So I think that's so critical, really.
Yeah, definitely.
So we've got a couple more questions in the passion and purpose section. The next person asked, where do you find your purpose? Do you find your purpose from work? I think this is a really interesting question, and this is a similar question that was asked in January when we did Live Your Best Life Lagos. And for me, what I think sometimes is people think of things too much in job descriptions and job roles and job titles. And what's always been really important for me is my priorities have been writing, creating, coming up with ideas, breaking down really difficult concepts and explaining them to people and taking people along a journey. And when I think of it as those things, as opposed to my passion is to be a lawyer, my passion is to be a management consultant, my passion is to be an accountant, my passion is to be an influencer, you start to understand that you can find your passion in loads of different places and it's sprinkled across your life. And I think that's where we tend to get really confused sometimes and stressed out, like, is this my purpose? Is this my purpose? Whereas when you take a step back and you think, like I've said, so mine are, creating, coming up with ideas, talking to people about those ideas and breaking those down. That happens in my workplace, that happens on my blog, that happens in my friendships. And as long as I'm always doing those things, that's what's important to me. I simply just think, all the job descriptions or job roles were created by someone who's not you, so it's never going to be the perfect match. So you need to take a step back and do the internal reflection of it. That's how it works for me.
Yeah, I think that's so true. And I think, as I was saying before, in terms of thinking about Shayon's 3D framework, I think some people can find their purpose within their job, but I honestly think for some people it's not that, and their job is it's like a job to make money and they pursue things outside of that. I think particularly in the creative industries that can happen a lot, because I think sometimes people want their creativity, whether it be, writing a book or just any kind of creative endeavour, whether it might be art or photography, they want it to make money straight away and that to be their way of making a living. But I think often in life, especially in the creative industries, you kind of have to have another job which makes your living, and then from that you actually have more capacity to be creative.
Yeah.
So I think they don't always have to be one and the same, like your job and your purpose. But I think it's just being honest with yourself about whether the two things align or whether they don't. And I just think because of the day and age that we live in as well with social media, I think so many people put pressure on themselves, I have to be, everything that I'm doing every moment of the day needs to be aligned with my purpose, my 9 to 5 has to be something I love and I'm passionate about. It's that would be nice, but also I just feel there are different ways of living. I think there are some people who are entrepreneurial, some people are not, it's not for everybody, and I think we glamorize a lot of these things sometimes. Yeah. So I think it's just about being really honest with yourself and saying do I want to just do a job which is to help me be creative, or do I want to be creative in my everyday job? There's different ways of looking at it.
So one of the other things that someone asked was, how do you know that you're fulfilling, I think it was God's purpose for you, which I think is quite a lofty and deep question, but maybe it is about going back to who you are. Am I true to myself? And like you just said, it doesn't mean that you have to feel I'm doing this 24 hours a day and it completely makes sense. I think part of the journey is figuring it out. That's probably going to take more time than the moments where you're 100% this makes complete sense, because otherwise I suppose once you're there, what else is there to do in life? So maybe part of life is really about understanding the interplay between all the different parts of life, the kind of peaks and the trough moments, as opposed to just finding this purpose it's a cup. Found the purpose, and now I've got something. It's a holy grail. Maybe it's not really like that.
I think also it's what you said before, it's about taking a step back rather than thinking in job descriptions. What you said, you love writing, you love helping people work out how to get from A to B and different problems. I did that as well. I kind of took a step back and thought to myself, what is my purpose? What do I love doing? What has God gifted me with? And I think one thing I found when I took a step back was that I love telling people stories. Like, I love interviewing people, and I love, I just think giving a platform for like different perspectives. And when I worked for like a fashion magazine, I got to interview so many interesting people, and I think getting to tell people stories is something I'm really passionate about, especially people who might not normally have a voice. I think, especially with mainstream media, for so long we've been used to like one type of person having a platform, and I think that's why I think the way that media has diversified with people being bloggers and having like, you know, you could be your own voice, and we have so many different voices now coming from different ethnicities, social groups, like it's more open, and I think that's amazing. But I think like even when I did my interview with you for Women of Style and Substance, like just giving everyday people a voice, and I think what I found interesting about that was so many people were interested. It's like, you know, we're not celebrities or anything, we're not like famous people, but people just love seeing inside different people's minds and
so would
getting
you say that that's your purpose then, when you do that, because you said that you love giving people voices?
Yeah, I definitely think that is, like it's a part of my purpose. I think God gave me that curiosity and a passion for like, I just love talking to people. I love asking them questions, hearing what they have to say. I feel like everyone has such different perspectives. And I think, like you said, that it can happen in everything, even when you're just with your friends, like your best friends, you're just talking to them and you're getting a different perspective from your own. And I think just having friends from like different social groups, like just everything, like different countries, like it's just, I guess it's like I kind of stepped back one day and was like, wow, I actually have access to so many different people's voices, and maybe it's my purpose to like give those people a platform.
Yeah. Great, love that. So we talked about how your purpose is something that you find on an ongoing basis. It's not just something you find once and that's the end. And we've also explored how you need to take the time to reflect and revisit your intrinsic self. I really hope you've enjoyed this segment of The Gathering. Please submit more questions using the links that I will share below. Subscribe and continue to ask questions. Like I said at the beginning, this is a conversation, and I really, really want everyone to get involved.